get going today. Hobby Lobby has a lot of their new spring 2026 line out, and as I walked through the store, I noticed art of all sizes was taking up more aisles than in past years. This year, florals and landscapes are very popular, and they are seeming to lean more to that dark, moody feel. When I look at art, I like to choose assorted sizes. Smaller art works well to prop against a backdrop or layer in a vignette. This would be like the 8 to 10-inch size or smaller. Those work best to create color and texture without overpowering a space, such as think of putting it on a bookcase or a shelf, a console table, even on a kitchen counter as a vignette. I look for options that look like they could be an original oil painting, which means it would not have glass on it since an oil painting needs to breathe. Looking closely at the print, does it look like an original in the texture? I've noticed lately they have been taking clumps of paint and adding these to different areas of the painting, maybe on a leaf or a stem. A little bit of that isn't too bad, but if you do a lot of that texture, this is a pass for me because when the light reflects on it, it's very shiny and it doesn't look authentic at all. It just kind of misses that elevated look that I'm going for. Next, I look at frames. Yes, the frame will be plastic or MDF at a big box store most likely, but how does it look? Does it do an excellent job of looking like real wood or maybe that old world ornate feel? Or does it look shiny and plastic? Or maybe even the wood looks like contact paper? If I'm wanting an elevated space, I'm going to pass on those too. This small blue hydrangea print looks like a realistic oil, and the frame does not look plastic even though it is. The frame texture and the print color blends nicely together. This also would work in several areas of the home since it is that perfect 8 by 10 size. It has a bracket on it so it could go on a gallery wall, it could go in its own little spot on a bookcase or a console table, or like I'm doing it right now, leaning up against my backsplash in my kitchen as a layered texture as part of a vignette. Another option is this small landscape with the gold frame. Again, if you look at this, the picture looks very authentic. The frame looks like it could be that old world ornate, even though it is plastic. This would work great hanging solo or styling it like I am here on the fireplace mantle. Now on to bigger statement art. I was immediately attracted to this picture. I like the white hydrangeas in this very trendy blue and white traditional vase with that muted darker background. This picture would pop on a white wall given that darker background, and it definitely was that garden inspired look I like. But then I looked at the frame. The texture on the frame looks like plastic, and it's not that old ornate gold look. It's a gold shade of copper, and it just didn't seem realistic. And when it reflected the light, it was very shiny and plastic looking. The frame does nothing for this picture. Although this would have been beautiful in my dining room in between my white bookcases as statement art, mixed in with my vintage decor and my plants, just absolutely gorgeous. But I passed because of that frame. Now I hear you. You're saying, Michelle, you could paint that frame. What about gold rub and buff? We use that. Well, this is a large frame. And yes, I could do that, but I don't know what the result would be. It may not give me that elevated look that I'm wanting. Now, another option is head over to that custom frame area. Well, this is a custom sized print, and that happens a lot of times when you're buying a print off the shelf. It's an odd size, so you're not going to be able just to wander over to picture frames and pick up a frame. You're going to need a custom frame for it. And with that comes a custom cost. In my mind, I would be better waiting and finding a real oil painting before buying a custom frame for an oversized cardboard print. Then I spotted this white floral. This is a beautiful garden-inspired floral print. Although the frame is plastic, it does not look cheap, but it gives that more of an elevated look. The plastic has more of a dull finish on it, it's not shiny, and the texture on the frame looks old world. The coloring on the frame is realistic to an authentic old world frame. This would be a take me home picture. This is a lovely garden-inspired floral, not an oil painting. It does have a glass frame. It's also wood and gold. The wood and gold look very realistic. Beautiful terracotta pots and florals. It has a nice weight with the glass, and you'll notice the print doesn't have a mat. It's kind of free-floating, which is on trend this year. It's an elevated statement piece that would work lovely in a garden-inspired home with a mix of vintage and new decor. So those are some examples of things that I would bring home with me and some of those red flags that I would pass on. All kinds of beautiful spring faux flowers. The goal when I'm shopping for these is finding extremely realistic options. As a previous floral designer and a visual merchandiser, this is really important if you want to bring faux flowers into your home, is to make them as realistic as possible. Pick those options, and there are so many good options now. So when I'm looking for stems that I bring home with me, I'm thinking, does this look like something that I could have went out to the garden this morning and clipped? Does it have the right texture? Does the texture resemble a fresh garden flower? Does the color look like a plant that I would find in nature? If yes, then I found something to bring home. If not, it's a red flag and it's a pass on it. When I purchase stems, I normally purchase them in groups of 3 to 5 stems, which works really well when creating arrangements. You will notice that we are in the area of the store that sells the stems individually. Now, I'm not saying that you cannot find a realistic plant that's more on that bush size instead of the individual stems, but it is harder to find on the bush that they look realistic. If you are wanting the most realistic, then you're going to want to purchase some individual stems. And it doesn't take many, and you can take the greenery stems and some of the fresh flower looking stems and mix them together to give yourself a beautiful arrangement. I'm showing you here the ones that I picked out. I picked out some of those beautiful white, creamy spring flowers that I'm adding into some greenery that I also picked up, and then some oversized garden white looking roses. So just a mix of a combination in a vintage green planter, gorgeous on the mantle. Maybe you like the idea of just bringing home a whole pot that's already made up, but you don't care for the planter, as in this case. This is a beautiful little fern, and I've bought a few of these, but I'm just not a fan of that planter that it comes in. This is an easy fix. You can see it has a little bit of moss that they've glued down. That is a styrofoam ball that's inside of that planter. You take a serrated knife and cut around the inside of the planter, and that little fern will pop right out, and then you can put it anywhere in one of your beautiful containers. As you can see, I showed you there, I've already taken it out, and then I have a beautiful find of a ruffly terracotta white container, and it just fits in it perfectly. And that's a really nice size. It's like the 4-inch size. So that's something you can do if you find something you don't like. Now, in this combination, I thought the container leans toward that old world toile look. It looks like that aged vintage finish with a realistic blooming cyclamen. This planter would easily fit on an end table, a bookcase, a mantle, kitchen counter to add color to your space. I think before you purchase it, you have to think, how many different rooms could I use this item in? Because then it gives you lots of options. Then in the garden, when I spotted this oversized boxwood rabbit new for spring, he immediately reminded me of my rabbits in my garden urns from last summer's project. This little guy would be a perfect addition to a spring garden. Think about tucking him next to an oversized concrete or terracotta planter outside, or on your porch next to a bench or a table with smaller planters and garden tools. He could even be inside in the spring entryway styled up. He gives the garden that European formal garden feel that definitely gives us that elevated garden inspired look. Whether you're looking for new pieces or vintage treasures, it's all about that intentional eye. If you want to see how I've styled these types of findings in my own space, check out my online store, Michelle's Home and Garden Boutique, at the link below. And for more garden inspiration, see how we made over the garden shed last month to get us ready for spring. I'll see you there.